He was the guy who made everyone believe in romance again, the dancer who could fight, the tough guy with a tender heart.
I mean, you're only on this planet for so long. Go for it now.
Patrick had something about him that was very rugged, but that also had that beautiful, gentle, sensuous ability to move.
Patrick Swayze seemed to have it all: the looks, the talent, the perfect Hollywood life. But behind those confident eyes and that million-dollar smile was a man fighting battles most people never knew about. And when the final blow came, it came hard and fast.
For the actor Patrick Swayze, he died at the age of 57.
Patrick Swayze has died. We learned that last night.
And from Hollywood this morning, a death to report. Actor Patrick Swayze has lost his battle with pancreatic cancer.
The Golden Boy, Patrick Wayne Swayze, was born on August 18, 1952, in Houston, Texas, into a family where performing wasn't just encouraged, it was expected. His mother, Patsy Swayze, ran one of the most respected dance schools in Houston, and from the moment Patrick could walk, he was learning to move. But this wasn't some gentle introduction to the arts. Patsy was demanding, almost militaristic in her approach to dance. She pushed Patrick hard, sometimes too hard, but she saw something in him that she knew could be extraordinary. Growing up in Texas in the 1950s and 60s as a boy who danced wasn't easy. Patrick got bullied, got called names, got into fights defending what he loved. But he also played football, did gymnastics, and could handle himself in a scrap. This combination of grace and toughness would become his signature, the thing that made him different from every other leading man in Hollywood. His father, Jesse Wayne Swayze, was a chemical plant engineer, a man's man who worked with his hands and expected his son to be strong. The relationship between Patrick's artistic mother and his blue-collar father created a unique tension in the household, and Patrick found himself trying to embody both worlds. He had to be tough enough for his father, artistic enough for his mother, and masculine enough for Texas. It was a lot of weight for a kid to carry. After high school, Patrick moved to New York City to pursue dance professionally. He trained at the Harkness Ballet and the Joffrey Ballet School, performing in various productions. But a knee injury derailed his dreams of becoming a professional ballet dancer. It was a devastating blow, but it pushed him toward acting instead. He appeared in the Broadway production of Grease and started taking acting classes, slowly building a new dream from the ashes of the old one. When everything clicked. The breakthrough didn't happen overnight. Throughout the early 1980s, Patrick took small roles in television shows and movies, grinding away like countless other aspiring actors in Hollywood. He appeared in The Outsiders, alongside Tom Cruise and Matt Dillon, played a soldier in Red Dawn, and slowly built a reputation as a reliable actor who could do his own stunts and bring intensity to every role. But he wasn't a star yet. He was still waiting for that one role that would change everything. That role came in 1987 with Dirty Dancing. Initially, the studio didn't have high hopes for the film. It was a small-budget production shot in just 44 days, about a teenager's summer romance at a Catskills resort. But Patrick brought something electric to the role of Johnny Castle, the working-class dance instructor with a chip on his shoulder and rhythm in his soul. He wasn't just acting. He was dancing like his life depended on it, bringing every ounce of his training and personal experience to the screen. The film became a cultural phenomenon. Suddenly, everyone wanted to have the time of their life. The soundtrack went multi-platinum. The movie grossed over $200 million worldwide. And Patrick Swayze became one of the most recognizable faces on the planet. Women wanted to be with him, men wanted to be him, and Hollywood finally understood what they had. Just 2 years later, in 1989, Patrick solidified his status as a megastar with Ghost. Playing Sam Wheat, a murdered banker who returns as a ghost to protect his girlfriend, Patrick showed he could do more than dance and fight. He could break your heart. The film became the highest-grossing movie of 1990, earning over $505 million worldwide. The pottery scene became iconic. The Righteous Brothers' Unchained Melody had everyone crying in theaters, and Patrick earned a Golden Globe nomination for his performance. He was at the absolute peak of his powers. People magazine named him the sexiest man alive in 1991. He could pick any role he wanted, command any salary, work with any director. For a brief shining moment, Patrick Swayze stood at the very top of Hollywood's mountain, and the view must have been incredible. The demons he fought. But even at his peak, Patrick was wrestling with demons that threatened to pull him under. The pressure of sudden fame, the constant scrutiny, and personal tragedies began to pile up in ways that the public rarely saw. His relationship with alcohol which had started as social drinking, began to evolve into something darker and more dangerous. In 1990, Patrick's father Jesse died, and it hit him like a freight train. The man he'd spent his whole life trying to impress, trying to prove his toughness to, was gone. Patrick had never fully resolved his complicated feelings about his father. The pride, the pressure, the need for approval that never quite came in the way he needed it. Grief has a way of finding your weak spots, and for Patrick, it found alcohol. His drinking escalated through the 1990s. It wasn't constant, and he never became a tabloid disaster, but those close to him knew he was struggling. He would go on benders that worried his wife and friends. There were incidents. A 2000 accident where he made a spectacular emergency landing of his twin-engine Cessna aircraft in Arizona. He'd been drinking before the flight, though he maintained he was sober by takeoff. The FAA investigated, and while no charges were filed, it was a wake-up call that he couldn't ignore. In 2003, Patrick lost his sister Vicky to suicide. She had struggled with her own demons for years, and her death devastated the entire Swayze family. Losing a sibling, especially to suicide, creates a unique kind of pain, a mixture of grief, guilt, and endless what-ifs that never quite go away. Patrick threw himself into work, trying to outrun the sadness, but you can't outrun what's inside you. The alcohol became a coping mechanism for dealing with loss, with the pressure of fame, with the expectations he'd carried since childhood. He'd later admit that he used drinking as a way to numb himself, to escape from feelings he didn't know how to process. It's a common story in Hollywood, but that doesn't make it any less tragic. Here was a man who had achieved everything he'd dreamed of, and he still couldn't find peace. Behind the Hollywood smile. The one constant in Patrick's life, the anchor that kept him from completely losing himself, was his wife, Lisa Niemi. They'd met when she was just 15 years old, taking dance classes at his mother's studio. Patrick was 19, already an accomplished dancer, and he was immediately drawn to her. They married in 1975 and stayed together for 34 years, a near miracle in Hollywood terms. Lisa wasn't just a wife. She was a partner in every sense. She was a dancer, actress, and writer who understood the demands of the business and the temperament of creative people. When Patrick struggled with alcohol, she struggled with him, trying to help him while setting boundaries to protect herself. She never went to the tabloids, never wrote tell-all books, never used his struggles for personal gain. Their marriage wasn't perfect, but it was real. But even a strong marriage couldn't protect Patrick's career from the harsh realities of Hollywood. After the massive success of Ghost, his career started to plateau in ways that confused and frustrated him. He took roles in films like Point Break and City of Joy, but nothing matched his earlier triumphs. The industry started to typecast him. He was the romantic lead, the dancing tough guy, and breaking out of that box proved nearly impossible. The mid to late 1990s saw Patrick taking roles in films that didn't perform well at the box office. Tall Tale, Fatherhood, Letters from a Killer. These weren't bad movies necessarily, but they weren't connecting with audiences. Hollywood has a short memory, and Patrick found himself getting fewer calls, fewer opportunities. He started working more in television and smaller independent films, which paid the bills but didn't recapture the magic of his glory years. There were also the roles he didn't get, the projects that went to other actors, the slow realization that his moment at the top had passed. For someone who'd worked so hard to get there, who'd overcome so much, it was a bitter pill to swallow. He kept working, kept training, kept himself in incredible physical shape, but the phone wasn't ringing like it used to. The diagnosis. In late 2007, Patrick started experiencing some troubling symptoms. He had stomach pain that wouldn't go away, a nagging discomfort that he initially attributed to his rigorous workout routine, or maybe a pulled muscle. He'd spent decades doing his own stunts, pushing his body to its limits, so aches and pains weren't unusual. But this felt different. There was also a yellowing of his skin that Lisa noticed, a subtle jaundice that he couldn't explain away. In January 2008, after the symptoms persisted and worsened, Patrick finally went to see doctors at Stanford University Medical Center. What they found was every patient's nightmare, a tumor in his pancreas. Further tests confirmed it was pancreatic cancer, and not just any pancreatic cancer. It was already at an advanced stage. The tumor was significant, and there were signs it might have already spread. Pancreatic cancer is one of the most aggressive and deadly forms of cancer there is. The pancreas is tucked deep in your abdomen, behind your stomach, and symptoms often don't appear until the disease is already advanced. By the time most people feel sick enough to see a doctor, the cancer has already been growing for months or years. Patrick's doctors told him what they tell most pancreatic cancer patients. The prognosis was grim. The 5-year survival rate was less than 5%. Patrick was 55 years old, at an age when many actors are still doing their best work. He'd kept himself in remarkable physical condition, didn't smoke, and had finally gotten his drinking under control. None of that mattered to the cancer growing inside him. It's a cruel irony that someone who'd spent his entire life disciplining and perfecting his body would be betrayed by it in such a devastating way. The initial shock gave way to a determination to fight. Patrick immediately began chemotherapy and exploring every treatment option available. He and Lisa made the decision to go public with his diagnosis, releasing a statement through his publicist that acknowledged the cancer but emphasized his determination to battle it. The news sent shockwaves through Hollywood and around the world. Fans who'd grown up watching him dance in Dirty Dancing or cry in Ghost couldn't believe that Johnny Castle was facing something even his toughness couldn't fix. Fighting until the end. What happened next was quintessentially Patrick Swayze. He refused to give up. While undergoing aggressive chemotherapy at Stanford, he simultaneously committed to starring in a new television series called The Beast, playing an FBI veteran training a young agent. His doctors, his wife, and his friends all questioned whether this was wise. Chemotherapy is brutal under any circumstances, but to do it while working 12-hour days on a demanding television show seemed almost suicidal. But Patrick needed to work. For him, acting wasn't just a career, it was who he was, how he defined himself. To stop working would be to surrender, to let the cancer win before the fight was even finished. So he showed up to set day after day, even when he could barely stand. The cast and crew watched in awe and heartbreak as he delivered powerful performances between bouts of nausea and exhaustion. His chemotherapy regimen was aggressive and experimental. He participated in clinical trials, trying treatments that weren't yet widely available, hoping to be part of the small percentage that beat the odds. The side effects were severe: weight loss, fatigue, nausea, pain. His appearance changed dramatically as the treatments took their toll. But he kept his commitment to The Beast, filming 13 episodes that would air in 2009. Between takes, he would sometimes have to sit down to catch his breath, to let a wave of pain or nausea pass. But then he'd stand up, wipe his face, and deliver another scene with the intensity and professionalism that had defined his career. The crew tried to make accommodations, adjusting shooting schedules, giving him breaks when he needed them. But Patrick rarely asked for special treatment. He wanted to be treated like any other actor, doing the job he'd signed up to do. There were brief moments of hope. Scans would show the tumor shrinking, and doctors would cautiously suggest that the treatments were working. Patrick would allow himself to believe for just a moment that he might be one of the lucky ones. But pancreatic cancer is a cruel disease, and any progress was temporary. The cancer was adapting, finding ways around the treatments, continuing to spread despite everything doctors threw at it. Lisa was with him through it all, managing his care, advocating with doctors, holding him when the pain got too bad. She later described this period as both beautiful and horrifying. Beautiful because of the intimacy and honesty it brought to their relationship. Horrifying because she was watching the man she loved being consumed from the inside out. The final curtain. By the summer of 2009, it was clear that the treatments weren't working anymore. The cancer had spread to his liver, and his body was beginning to shut down. Patrick and Lisa returned to their ranch in New Mexico, where he could spend his final days in peace, away from the cameras and the publicity. After spending his entire adult life in the public eye, he wanted privacy for this last act. His friends came to say goodbye. His family gathered around him. Lisa never left his side. Patrick remained conscious and coherent almost until the very end, talking with loved ones, saying the things that needed to be said. He wasn't afraid of death itself. He'd come to terms with that. But he was sad about leaving Lisa, about all the things they'd planned to do together that would never happen now. On September 14, 2009, Patrick Swayze died at the age of 57. He'd fought for 20 months after his diagnosis, much longer than most pancreatic cancer patients survive. But in the end, the disease that had taken so many others took him too. The official cause of death was pancreatic cancer with metastases to the liver. The news broke immediately, and the outpouring of grief was global. Fans around the world mourned the loss of an icon. His Dirty Dancing co-star Jennifer Grey said she'd lost a brother. Demi Moore, who'd starred with him in Ghost, posted a heartfelt tribute. But beyond Hollywood, regular people who'd never met him felt the loss too. Patrick had been part of their lives, part of their most romantic memories, and now he was gone. What pancreatic cancer really is. Pancreatic cancer killed Patrick Swayze, but what exactly is it?
Tributes are pouring in tonight for the actor Patrick Swayze. He died after a battle with pancreatic cancer at the age of 57.
The pancreas is a gland that sits behind your stomach, about 6 inches long, and it does 2 main jobs. It produces enzymes that help digest food, and it makes hormones like insulin that regulate blood sugar. When cells in the pancreas start growing out of control, they form tumors that interfere with these functions. The deadliness of pancreatic cancer comes from several factors. First, the pancreas is located deep in the body, surrounded by other organs, which makes tumors hard to detect early. There's no standard screening test for it like there is for breast or colon cancer. By the time symptoms appear, weight loss, jaundice, abdominal pain, the cancer has usually already spread. Second, pancreatic cancer is incredibly aggressive. It grows fast and spreads fast, often metastasizing to the liver, lungs, or abdominal cavity before it's even diagnosed. Third, it's resistant to most treatments. Chemotherapy and radiation have limited effectiveness because pancreatic tumors have unique biological characteristics that help them survive attacks. Only about 20% of patients are eligible for surgery, which is the only treatment that offers a real chance at a cure. But even after successful surgery, the 5-year survival rate is only about 20%. For patients like Patrick, whose cancer was already advanced at diagnosis, the numbers are even worse. It's one of the few cancers where the survival rates haven't improved significantly in decades. The risk factors include smoking, obesity, diabetes, chronic pancreatitis, and family history. But Patrick didn't fit most of those categories. Sometimes, cancer just happens. A roll of cosmic dice that comes up on a lucky, and there's nothing you can do about it. Legacy. Patrick Swayze spent his life making people feel something. Joy, romance, excitement, inspiration. He danced when men weren't supposed to dance. He showed vulnerability when action heroes were supposed to be invincible. And when cancer came for him, he faced it with the same toughness and grace he brought to everything else, working until his body simply couldn't anymore. He left us too soon, but what he left behind still makes people believe in the transformative power of art. Nobody puts that kind of legacy in a corner.